Okay, so here's some examples of how I want you to do section 3.2, the kind of work that you need to show me. One thing right off the bat that you'll notice is I don't think that my fonts are up to date, so my computer can't read what that symbol means, and it's interpreting that as some letter that I've never seen before. It means angle because the M's in front of it. So I can say that's going to say if the measure of angle 1 equals 114, then what's the measure of angle 5? And if you have questions about interpreting those, you can ask me. That's number one. Obviously, since 1 and 5 are corresponding angles, then angle 5 is going to be equal to 114 degrees. And it says tell what postular theorem you use. So right here, this is corresponding angles are congruent. Oops, that's not quite right. Corresponding angles are not congruent if the lines are parallel. Corresponding angles are congruent. And you might think that that's being nitpicky, but I'll tell you what, if the lines aren't parallel, then the angles aren't congruent. So that's part of the theorem. All right, in the next section it says find the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. I'm going to do number 4 here. And it looks to me like since angle 2 is corresponding, it must be equal to 67 degrees. And since angle 1 is supplementary, I guess angle 1 is going to be 180 minus 67. Now, if you left it like this, I really wouldn't mind, because you're basically telling me, hey, I know how to find that angle. It's a straight line, and I'm going to subtract 67. I almost would prefer that over you writing what 180 minus 67 is. But that would be one kind of a problem that you could do up there to show me, yeah, hey, I'm actually doing this. I'm not just copying the answers. The next section here, where it says find the value of x, this is pretty typical, and so I'll pick out one of these to do. How about number 9? Number 9 has looks like the 72 degree angle and the 4x angle. Those are alternate interior angles. We have parallel lines cut by a transversal, so alternate interior angles are congruent. So 72 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and x is equal to, let's see, 4 goes into 7 once with the remainder of 3, so x equals 18. Sections problems 13 through 18 are the same as the problem before. They're just maybe more complicated, and they're asking you to find both of those angles. If I'm looking at number 16, I'm not going to finish this one up for you, but I would say 124 plus y minus 8, so these two angles, they add up to 180. That's how I would find that one. Here, I've got I got to find that x, so I don't know where I'm going to get that x. I've got a 60 degree angle here, and that may be even easier. Maybe I should have said 60 and y minus 8 are congruent. After that, and then down here, 19 and 20, we have your first proofs of the year. And in 19 and 20 here it says, given the information, complete the 2-column proof. So in 19, it says Q is parallel to R. Well, they showed us that when they put the little arrows right here and right here. That shows us that the lines are parallel. And they want us to prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And they give us statements on the left and reasons on the right. This is a typical 2-column proof. So the first one is, why are we allowed to say that line Q is parallel to line R? Well, the reason we're allowed to say that is it's given right here. So the first reason for line 1 is given. What's the second reason? How are we allowed to say that angle 1 in line 2, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2? So I look at the picture. And honestly, as I look at the picture, I go, oh, is angle 1, I ask myself, is angle 1 congruent to angle 2? Well, they are. Why are angle 1 and angle 2 congruent? Because vertical angles are congruent. That's one of our postulates from chapters 1 and 2. Vertical angles are congruent. And then I look at number 3. Is the measure of angle 2 congruent to the measure of angle 3? So I look at them. Is 2 congruent to 3? Well, they are. Why are they congruent? Well, because they're corresponding angles. So we have parallel lines cut by a transversal. Corresponding angles are congruent. So my reason for number 3 is, if the lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. And what's the last reason that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3? Well, if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 and angle 2 is congruent to angle 3, then angle 1 has to be congruent to angle 3. This is actually the transitive property. I don't like to call it transitive property. I will allow you to call it transitive property because that's the real rule. But if you did this one and you said substitution, I would think that's okay. In fact, I prefer that you write substitution. Why do I prefer it? Well, because it's not really the answer that's written on the answer key. The answer key is going to say transitive property. And I prefer substitution because really what are we doing? We're substituting the angle 1 in line 2 in for the angle 2 in line 3. That's substitution.